Good day! You ever wake up expecting a normal day? Instead, everything's covered in snow? Well, that's what exactly happened to me this morning. Surprise, snow day. Everything slowed down, the roads got quiet, kitchen paused, and suddenly there was a bit of time to sit down with a coffee and just think. It reminds me of how rare it is in the food industry to actually slow down. These quiet moments don't come around very often. Now, spring is here, and for me, this means thinking about what I want to cook, what I want to teach, and how the next season in the kitchen is going to unfold. So today's episode of the Edible Valley podcast, it's a bit of a snow day reflection, a look at how I start planning the spring and what's coming up here in our Edible Valley. Welcome to the Edible Valley podcast.
We want to invite you as we embark on a culinary journey through the heart of Vancouver Island.
From the fertile fields
to the pristine waters of the Pacific Ocean.
We'll explore the stories behind the food that nourishes us.
Tune in to each episode as we deep dive into the flavors, the traditions, and the innovations that make this a true paradise.
Now please join us as we explore our Edible Valley. Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Edible Valley podcast. I'm Jonathan Frazier, and today's episode is just me. Normally, we're sitting down talking with one of the incredible farmers, chefs, or producers that make up the food community here in Vancouver Island. But today it's just me, and the reason is simple: snow. I look out the window and since 5 a.m., about 5 inches of snow have come down. Now, I tried to get out of here and go to work, but I made it about 100 meters up the road and my car decided that's enough for me. So, after phoning my class and canceling it for today, I thought, what a great way to sort of sit down and talk. Now, I must say, snow days always feel weird to me. It's a strange thing here on Vancouver Island. We don't get them very often. We are the Canadians out there that all Canadians hate. We're mild-tempered. We love our nice rainy, wet days. And for us to have a little bit of snow, we're not ready for it, so everything shuts down. Now, of course, this gives me some time to bridge the difference between winter and springtime menus. Now, what is winter cooking? It's hearty, it's slow braised, root vegetables, big comfort dishes. I'm thinking about the ones that warm you up inside. I think back to our cooking demos at the farmer's market where we did chocolate with the L'Arche community to sort of spread the word of what they do and how they support the people in our community. Of course, at that event, we did braised goats with anise and chocolate. We did a cocoa roasted root vegetable. And of course, we did some white chocolate and squash mousse. It was really fun to work with those dishes. But spring is on its way. It's getting close. And I want to start thinking differently. I want to start thinking about fresh ingredients, light flavors, and incredible products that are about to come to our farms and our markets around here. So today I thought I'd take advantage of this quiet morning and talk a little bit about what I'm thinking about, what's going on in my head, and thinking about what we're going to be doing in the spring. Let's get into the ingredients. Even though it's still cold outside, I'm always thinking about spring ingredients long before they arrive. Soon we'll start seeing those first signs showing up at our markets and on our farms. Things I like to think about, fresh greens. There's so many we can talk about. It's early on in the year, but we're looking about arugula, spinach, butter lettuce, baby kale, Swiss chard, my favorite mustard greens, and of course, watercress are all the things that are starting to pop out of the ground right now. Now, if you're a forager, there's lots going on out there too, when you can say a lot of wild mushrooms. Morel season begins in spring here. We got wild garlic and ramps, sorrel, miner's lettuce, all great things. And of course, the one that always gets me is nettles. I love nettles, and I wish I knew more about nettles when I was a kid. I probably would have cooked with them a lot more. Growing up, they were always just that little nuisance that would always sting us. Now, moving forward, looking at the farms, some of the great things coming out on farms right now. We have pea shoots. English peas and snap peas will be out there soon. Early radishes, spring onions, green onions. Of course, one of my favorite, fiddleheads, baby carrots, new potatoes, and of course, rhubarb. And before you know, not too long away, we have asparagus popping up as well. For me, these ingredients always feel exciting because they represent fresh starts. After months of cooking with root vegetables, squashes, and slow braises, I crave something lighter and brighter. Spring cooking for me really is about three things: brightness, freshness, and simplicity. I try to let the ingredients speak for themselves. Sometimes the best thing I can do as a cook is just simply stay out of the way and let the product shine. I remember early in my career when the seasons really started to click for me in the kitchen, you would see like fiddleheads come into the first time and suddenly the entire kitchen brigade would get this energy of change. The menu would shift, dishes got lighter, fresh herbs would start showing up. It was always an amazing time. That's one of the things I've always loved about cooking seasonally. It keeps you connected to what's happening outside the kitchen. And here on Vancouver, we are incredibly lucky. Within a short distance, we have farms just starting to plant, fishermen's about to set out, and of course, our shellfish with the cold water is the best time for oysters. And what would be more amazing than all the great cheesemakers we have here on Vancouver Island? And that connection between farm and kitchen is really what our Edible Valley is all about. So let's get into a little bit about planning menus. So days are so often a great time for me just to think about menus and ideas. When the kitchen slows down for a moment, my mind starts going through possibilities. What dishes I want to create for next season? What ingredients do I want to highlight? And maybe the most interesting question, what stories do I want to tell through my food? For me, menus always start with the product first. Maybe it's the fresh herbs coming out of the greenhouse. Maybe it's local lamb or goat. Even some spring eggs. Maybe it's seafood because here in Vancouver we're surrounded by such incredible seafood. Halibut season's about to start. Spot prawns won't be far behind. And of course, just a simple fresh oyster can always inspire any dish. Once I have the ingredient in mind, the dish usually starts building itself. For example, thinking about nettles, my mind starts going to the possibilities. Maybe blanching those nettles with a nice poached spring egg. I could add some prosciutto. It might be nice with a little hollandaise and some fresh or a nice herb vinaigrette. Then I start thinking about texture. Maybe a nice toasted biscuit and those fresh herbs on top. I must be hungry. It's breakfast time. I'm thinking making that would make the most perfect Benny. And that's a creative side of cooking that I really enjoy. Of course, we got to talk about teaching because that's another thing I'm really involved with. And I'm really excited right now being here in Port Alberni with my professional cook level 1 class. In about 2 weeks, we're about ready to open the kitchen to the public. The last few weeks have been exciting for me. Students have been learning foundations, knife skills, stock, sauces, organization. The basic every cook needs. We've been going over baking and more. And I must admit I'm a little disappointed today because we were going to make pies today. It was all about pumpkin pie, apple pie, and of course I want to do some tarts with some pastry cream that we'd put together with maybe some glazed fruit over top of it. But I guess that's a problem for tomorrow. Right now, we're setting up to run the Roger Street Cafe. We're going to be open till around May, and this is going to be for an opportunity for the public to come in and try the sample. So every day, basically, we're going to be working from Tuesday till Thursday, 3 days a week. We're going to be open, and the students will be creating the dishes and making dishes for the public to come and sample. This isn't going to be too complex. Of course, this is part of my deal right now is working with all of these different dishes and sort of coming up things that sort of work together. We're going to be working on mushroom soup so they can get a chance to work with creamy veloutes. We'll also look at doing like quartering chicken with, green beans and potatoes, maybe macaroni and cheese, a nice Monte Cristo sandwich. Basically, every day we're going to be taking on another project. One day it's going to be shepherd's pie. Then we're going to do a mushroom matzo beef burger with some great house-made French fries. These are the kind of things that I like to get the students working on. Sort of each thing is going to give them a little look at what they're going to be doing and creating everything that has a bit of a lesson that goes along with it. Is as simple as spaghetti and meatballs, right? It can be such a simple dish, but just learning the process of putting it all together and creating something that's quick and easy that the public's really going to want. For me, this is all about creating dishes that people are going to want to eat and yet offer a real teaching lesson for the students so that they can master a new skill. I think it's going to be fun. I guess now is time for me to start writing recipes for these menus. Teaching is about something bigger than just recipes, right? Also in teaching, we want to be teaching respect for the ingredients, respect for the craft, and respect for the people who cook and for the people you're cooking for. One of the most rewarding parts of teaching is watching the moment when things suddenly start to click for students. Maybe it's the first time they successfully break down a chicken. Maybe it's the first time they actually prepare a sauce properly, or getting through a super busy service, and realizing they can actually do it. So I'm excited because watching their confidence grow week by week is so exciting. And of course, the Roger Street Bistro, as we're going to switch more to bistro style and do a service for the last couple weeks of the class before as we go into the summer. And we're basically going to be doing a 3-course lunch for about $25. Super deal. We're going to have a nice cold appetizer, hot appetizer, options for people. And then, of course, we're going to have the entree with the sides that come along with it, as well as the students will be preparing a dessert. So it's going to give them like real service. You know, they're going to understand the real pressure, and it's a real learning experience. So I'm amazed that I get to put this forward, and I'm looking forward to what the students actually get to do. Now, I know they're all sitting at home resting up on this beautiful sunny, snowy day, as I think the snow is finally just stopped for us. So I'm hoping that we're back in the kitchen tomorrow, because we've got a whole bunch of baking. I've definitely got to get on to learning about scones and biscuits, the muffin method. All of those great things are all part of that. And yet, still thinking about spring here, I've got lots of other projects going on with culinary projects that are coming up. There's been a lot of things going on over the winter, a lot of planning going on. People have got ideas starting to form. Conversations are starting to happen. Collaborations are definitely starting to build. And I've been really excited to be working with a bunch of people on these things. And it's one of those things, once spring arrived, those ideas start turning into real events, dinners, and projects. That's one of the things I love about being part of the culinary world. It's always evolving and creating. Now, without giving away too much, and you know, with all my free time that I had, I may be working on some cookbooks, maybe something that has to do with the farmer's market and our back to basic classes, as well as all the projects that I've been doing with Cardi and the seaweed project with North Island College. So stay tuned for new episodes coming out about seaweed, because we got a couple things coming out with that, and I'm kind of really excited about that. We're also working with the students with seaweed, so trying to get that as the next big trend coming out there, because I think it's going to be a real part, and I think we're lucky just being here on Vancouver Island, surrounded by such an amazing product that's not being utilized at all. And of course, another big part of my life right now, which is always my life, is the North Vancouver Island Culinary Association. I'm really excited that I'm heading over to Vancouver to Coquitlam coming up here this weekend, and we have the Western Conference where we're going to be talking with chefs from across our region. And it's great to, continue to strengthen our culinary industry by working together and see what other people are doing out there. These meetings always inspire, because you get the ideas from chefs from across the country, and you bring the energy back to your own community. And of course, North Vancouver Island Culinary Association, man, we got some great events coming up this year. Super excited. April 25th, we have the first Vancouver Island cooking competition at VIU. So Chef Buddy Wolf has been organizing this one with Chef Leslie and Chef Renaud, and this is going to be kind of a fun one. We're basically looking for young chefs from across Vancouver Island who want to get in there and learn what it's like to be in a competition, especially a cooking competition. Pressure's a little bit lower on this one, but I think it's going to be a real fun event. It's going to be probably a quick fire sort of thing where you're given a bunch of ingredients and you're given a couple hours to put together a dish. And it's going to be a great opportunity for some young cooks to get in there and really learn. And I think it's something that hopefully we can grow on Vancouver Island, and hopefully we can bring this off, and some of our competitors can move on to more province-wide things and go to maybe national-wise competitions. Hey, and if we get really lucky, head off to international competitions, because, really showcase the food that Canada has here. And more importantly, here on Vancouver Island. And I know I've been lucky because I've had a bunch of great apprentices and a bunch of great people through the Culinary Association here that have done so well at some of these competitions. So I'm excited to keep this going here in our community. Even though I'm not the biggest competitor, I think this is a great thing for someone who's excited to up and coming and really wants to learn something about their trade. Of course, I'm excited. We got a 4-course dinner coming for the Comox Valley Transition Society. Basically, we auctioned it off at the Children's Telethon. And of course, Raven Moon Estates has stepped up to let us use their kitchen. And so we're going to have a couple starters, of course, an appetizer, soup, an entree, and then we've got a dessert course by one of our young chef members, right? I don't want to give away too much, but I think this is going to be an amazing meal. And of course, we got coming up Chef Avi. And if you don't know about Chef Avi, check him out on episode 259 of the Edible Valley. He's doing a Japanese workshop for some of our members as sort of trade-in for the Vine and Tides dinner that we did for him. He's basically came out. We did the Vine and Tides together, and then he decided he offered us up instead of payment that he would put on a class for us. And of course, everyone's going to get a copy of his book. And I think it's going to be a really amazing and fun event. So looking forward to that. And it just brings me back to what I love about the North Vancouver Island Culinary Association. It's a sense of community. It's chefs supporting chefs. And the people working together to strengthen the culinary industry here on Vancouver Island. So that's a little glimpse of what's happening and what's going through my mind here on a snow day reflection. Thinking about spring ingredients, I'm getting really excited for that. Preparing that next group of culinary students for success and working with the culinary community through the North Vancouver Island Culinary Association. You know, I want to continue telling these great food stories here in our Edible Valley. And spring is just around a corner, and there's a lot to look forward to. If you'd like to connect with us, you can follow us at the Edible Valley Podcast online and you can keep up with the stories, the farmers, the chefs, the producers from across Vancouver Island. And you know what? I'm telling you, I'm going to be with Will pretty quick because I miss his little sense of humor, and I know we've got some great things to talk to and a lot of wonderful people to interview. So that's excited to be coming up. And of course, you know, here in Port Alberni, if you're out here in the area, Tuesday to Thursday, around lunchtime, come down to the Roger Street Bistro at the North Island College campus. Come check it out. Come see what the students are doing and help them on their culinary journey throughout their training here at the college. So I just want to thank everyone for joining me on this solo episode of the Edible Valley Podcast. If you enjoy this episode, make sure you subscribe, share it with a friend, and keep supporting local farmers, producers, and chefs. I'm Chef Jonathan Frazier, and we'll see you next time in the Edible Valley.